Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi, Lauren. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Thank you so much. Finally, we got to see each other after 2 days delay.
That's totally fine. Let me just check my Wi-Fi and make sure I'm on the right one. I am on the right one. No, that's totally fine. Like I said, that's what we do. We, restart and reschedule all the time. So it's totally fine. Nice to meet you.
Exactly. And also, time to time, technology is not working as properly that as we guess all the time. And like yesterday happened. And
I
Lauren,
know. What can you do though? And you were apologizing, but I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, we can't do anything on that. It's just technology that you can't do anything on that. You need to wait
Exactly.
until it works, until it makes us reach each other. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Lauren, thank you so much for accepting my interview request. Really, it's meaning a lot to me as being an executive assistant for almost 18 years. Let me tell you who I am before we
Yes.
start. My name is Serpil Soykan. I'm executive assistant background at the university and also at high school. I have been working as executive assistant for almost 18
I
years.
didn't catch it. I'm not catching. It's kind of breaking up a bit.
Okay, let me start from the beginning.
Okay, go ahead.
I have executive assistant background from high school and also at university. And for almost 18 years, I am the executive assistant. Right now, I am a textile sector, but before that, I used to be working for automotive industry. And almost 2 months ago, I started on this project. This project was aiming for to put the consciousness of executive assistant job description. Not in all countries, also in the companies, we are where we want to be. Because in some companies, our job profile is seen like a subordinate one. But what we wish to be, we wish to be a partner,
Yes.
a heart for a company, for a brain, everything for a company. But when I see that someone is behaving us or their attitude is like a subordinate one, it demoralizes me, to be honest. So that I started on that project. I am trying to find out where we are in other countries. And so far, I have carried out almost 65 interviews with different executives from all around the world. Maybe you have checked my social media
I
and
saw
also
the
YouTube
YouTube.
channel.
I saw YouTube. I was like, oh my God, that's a lot.
And really, I appreciate all these people. These are CEO, directors, and also executive assistants, the owner of companies, and they take time for us for this project. It's a big sacrifice. And also I know that you also have been so busy. You are skipping into a meeting to another one. But right now you are with me and really appreciate it a
Yeah.
lot. And I am sure that it will make a big contribute to this project, to the new generation of our job description months, let's say. So this is who I am. And before we start, I would like to know who you are. Would you please give a short brief about yourself?
Sure. One, thank you for asking me to be on here. And to be honest, I think I'm an advocate for all admins and assistants, and I want to see us all succeed. So when I saw your project, and I saw what you were doing, I was like, yeah, I'll definitely be a part of this. That's totally fine. That's great. Thank you for asking me. So I have been an admin or an assistant, depending on, I have had every role for over a decade. I just kind of leave it at that until it gets really close to 20. Maybe I'll start saying it, but I'm just going to say over a decade. And I have been every title under the sun. I started by temping, and then I went to being an office manager. I've been office manager when I really was the COO. I have been an EA to the CEO or CEO. I have been a private PA. I actually am still a private PA for high net worth individuals, several that kind of work for a few different people, and also a virtual assistant, because a lot of the work I do for them, I don't even need to see them almost completely. For one person, only one person do I actually go to their home half a day a week. And it's nice to go to their homes because they have very nice homes. And they don't even live in this country. So, it's usually empty. It's nice to see them when they're in town, but I don't always see them. And so about 5 years ago, I started the Officials. So I'm also the founder of the Officials. I was in New York, so I live in London, though I'm originally from America. I'm from Pittsburgh in America. And I came to London, started my career. My husband's British. And then we went to New York for a few years. And it was a new city to me. And I just needed to connect with other assistants. And at the time, there weren't many online communities for assistants. There was hardly any. And so I started one. I started a Facebook group. And then that turned into a big community. And then that turned into people asking me to mentor them. And then that turned into...
Wow.
They all have the same questions. And so then that became just bottling those answers into courses. And so now I'm a corporate trainer. So I train name brand companies, their assistants globally. And I also am a mentor, and we have an online platform where you can come, and we release new courses every month, and it's super affordable. That's really what I'm passionate about. I want it to be accessible to everyone, and it's all online. So when the lockdown with COVID-19 happened, we got very, very busy. Everyone wanted to learn.
Yeah, I can understand.
So that's me in a not very short description, but that's kind of who I am and what I do.
No, it's good. I'm happy that I'm together with the right person that can contribute a lot to this project. Really appreciate it a lot. And my intention is not take you longer here, but let's start talking about executive assistant job description. Of course, we all together hold the same position, the same title, but every executive assistants have different style in the company. I have my style, you have your style, and she has her style. But what an executive assistant do in a day, what she or he should do in a day, what are you doing? I mean, for me, when I came to company and I just pick up my office table, let's say, I prepare everything until my manager comes. When he comes, I get into his room, we check daily agenda, and also trying to join the meetings with him, this kind of things. How about you? What an executive assistant is doing from your perspective?
So mine changes depending on who I'm working for, really, and what their style is. I've actually been really lucky to work with some very independent and clever EAs. I think we're getting more of that. We're not getting the traditional, more independent CEOs and principals. I've worked with quite self-sufficient principals, so I don't need to be necessarily creating a briefing for them, but another one I might be. It depends on what I do. But normally I would check in, and I just start to get to work. And typically I'm there before they are. Just happens to be how it's been for the last couple of principals that I work for. And then I just get right to work. I make sure that at the end of the day, we always have a stand up at some point. I would normally like that in the morning and at the end of the day. And then, but lately, because I work for each of these people part-time, it's not really necessary. Because I check in with them before I leave, unless they have anything new to tell me, I already just pick up where I left off, and I'm basically just updating them on projects that I'm completely running on my own. Like, especially when you have private high net worth individuals, they run like a business, even though it's their private household, but they have massive investments, they have complex tax issues. And so I'm doing the taxes completely by myself for one of my clients with her accountant and with her investor, but she's not really involved in any way, shape, or form. And, but when I was a proper EA in a corporate environment, so that was last time I did that was last year. And, it wasn't the best experience, but it was quite amazing, because what I love about being an EA is that you get to touch so many different parts of the company, that you get to become very close with a lot of the major players in the company, the leaders of the company. And that's where I was becoming sort of an acting COO when I was there. They had released the COO, and instead of actually supporting the CEO, what I was doing was being a liaison and a coach and an advisor and a connector to all of the departments that wanted to speak with the CEO or wanted her to solve their problems. So I was solving them before they got to her. So in that sense, I was almost a independent, an independent advisor and acting COO a lot of the times. But also there's always diary management, inbox management is always part of it, whatever I do, because I just need, for my own sanity, for that to be clean and organized. I can't, that's the first thing I want to go in and clean up with anybody. I make sure I get all their passwords and important details into a locked app like 1Password. I organize all of their digital files, because whenever I leave that role, I want to leave it better than I found it. And I like to kind of onboard myself, and then I ended up onboarding my principals on their lives when I leave. And because they don't know, they don't really know what their passwords are. They don't know where certain things come from, who their suppliers are. And so I end up educating them on my way out the door. So I work very independently and at the same time in a very close, equal partnership with them, because we're all human. So we're all equal. There's no reason to be afraid of someone depending on where they are in the company, or afraid to talk to them. I always come in with that attitude.
Do you think that in London or in USA, this position is very supposed to be, it's valued or not? It's enough valued or not in London or in USA? I can tell about Turkey that it's not in the status that we wish to be honest.
Yeah. So so the officials, we have a global from California, from New York, Germany. We have members from Australia, London, all over. And I've actually gathered a bit of information, not just about London, which is where I am, and New York, where I was, but also from these other places. So I could tell you in London and in America, it's a mixed bag. So it depends on who you're working for. If you work for an older company that's run by a more male hierarchy, kind of hierarchy, they're more traditionalists, and they just think that they're hiring I know people now get offended by the term secretary, which I don't really think people need to be offended by the term secretary. There's some people that really specialize in that type of work, and some people are looking to hire a secretary, and because they also are maybe a bit old school. I would say that's more of an old school traditionalist approach.
How is called secretary or executive
That's the way you work.
assistant?
Why change it? Executive assistant, typically. So it's different in the US. So you have, I personally believe that I've been an office manager at some companies, and I know I've had more budget and more power than I did as an EA at another company. So I actually think titles are important and not important at the same time. So but typically in the US, it's, if you consider admins and assistants in the same career trajectory, you'd have office managers, and then you'd have like administrative assistants, and then executive assistants. In the UK, it would be a personal assistant, though you may or may not do personal work. It's more like you're just a junior assistant. And then it's executive assistant. And it just depends on who you work for, that whether they respect you or not in that way, to be honest. And that could not just have to do with the role, but it has to do with our gender sometimes. And so it really depends on who you're working for. A lot of these new tech startups, they understand. They know they're more millennials. They know that we all are equal and that we have value. I also know with the high net worth individuals that I've worked for, they have all been absolutely lovely people, very human. They absolutely understand that they could not run their lives without me or without any assistant, not necessarily me. But without any assistant, they understand the value of them. And so I've been very, very lucky in working for people that understand the value of an executive assistant. In Spain, I know it's a
Exactly.
bit more traditionalist. It's harder, especially when they're in our community or they're seeing the
Uh-huh.
global respect the executive assistants are starting to get. And they're going, well, it's great that you're telling me I should speak to my boss as an equal, but my boss won't speak to me that way no matter what I say. And so
Wow,
there are
great.
definitely places in the world where not everyone has caught up basically to understanding we are all equal and we're all deserved and we all have self-worth.
This project is also aiming for increasing the consciousness in executive manager levels. Because if we change their minds, if we change how they see this job description as a crucial one, so their attitude to us will change. So it's good that we slowly started, and as being together with all executive assistants in all around the world, we are getting stronger, so it's good. And Lauren, time to time, I'm giving seminar training to the students at high school and also at universities.
Love
And
this.
it's good that they need help, they need information from us because they have no idea about this job description. They only read at the books. So is there a suggestion you can give to students what they should do, what they shouldn't do? Is there any training you can suggest that they can handle beside their executive assistant skills?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. It's something I am the most passionate about. At the officials, we say that we empower admins and assistants through community, courses, and coaching, which is the mentorship, right? And but my mission statement to myself is to change the way we work, live, and educate ourselves for the better. And I don't just mean assistants, I mean everybody. Like, I want to start a school, I want to change the way universities work. I think it's all broken. And the reason why is because when you see a really good executive assistant and executive partnership, and you see how that can be an extension of the executive and their power and be able to, and not power, but their influence and their abilities and what they've been hired to do, when you get that really good partnership where you understand that sometimes in some of the big companies, they'll call this the office of the CEO.
Uh-huh,
And so it's
uh-huh.
almost like it's a little group, a little circle of people that are extending the CEO's power because they're only one person, but they all are singing from the same song. They understand it's all coming from the CEO, and they're all on the same path, but it has to be someone you absolutely believe in, for a company that you absolutely believe in. And so I think that, one, we need to start educating beyond ourselves. We
Uh-huh.
need to be talking to the CEOs. That's my biggest directive under that mission, is that I kind of feel like we're shouting in a bubble. We're saying we're amazing, executive assistants are incredible, but there's still there's not many higher ed degrees. People don't get a master's degree in being an executive assistant. You might go
Uh-huh.
and get a MBA, Master's in Business Administration, and that's what the CEOs have. But a lot of us don't, and we're standing toe to toe with them in this inner circle. So to me, that shows that you don't necessarily always have to follow the traditional university path. I have a master's degree. I went to university. I have a degree and a master's degree in something
Uh-huh.
totally different that actually helps me quite a bit. I studied instructional design, and I'm a trainer now, so it makes sense. But one, I think you need to have self-confidence. So if we're talking to someone
Uh-huh.
outside of just learn how to do inbox management, learn how to be a creative problem solver, it's actually the number one characteristic that employers are looking for the last 2 years, according to a LinkedIn survey, is creative problem solving. We are problem solvers, assistants. So one,
Exactly.
and the way you become a creative problem solver is you do puzzles, you get into games, you find a problem
Everything.
and figure out if you, even if it has a very simple solution, imagine that that solution is absolutely not possible. So how are you going to solve it if that one thing isn't that? And play these sort of mind games. And we've got a whole bunch of tips and tricks. We have a creative problem solving course because I think that's so important. Have self-confidence. Understand that you have value and worth right now, because that's what other people are going to respond to. When you have that kind of quiet knowing in yourself and you can have a conversation with someone, people pick that up over anything that you say. That's why we charismatic leaders that just sit back, relax. They could spout gibberish, which they're doing half the time, because none of us really know what we're doing. We're all just making educated guesses all the time. It's all an experiment, right? And so, and that's pretty freeing when you get to the top and you realize nobody really knows what they're doing. It's quite freeing. It makes you realize that you can mess up. You can experiment and try things. You do not have to be perfect, which I think a lot of assistants struggle with. And I also think you need to just do it. You need to make goals and then just go for them. Honest to God, I think a lot of the people that get to where they want to be just keep going. Just keep going. Get as close as you can to where you want to be. What do they say? Proximity is power. The closer you get to where you want to be, the more opportunities that will come to you to where you want to be. And this is a great career. This is an actual career path. There's tons of knowledge online on the framework of career development for executive assistants. There's been a lot of people that have worked on this and actually created levels to share with CEOs. If you want me to share that with you, I can share some links after we're done. I'll share you some links.
Okay.
There's a woman named Lynn that has done some work on this, and another woman named Lucy Brazier you might know of, and she's done some work on this. There's even more. Gillian Huffnagel, I could tell you a bunch of names, but I'll send you links and maybe you can put them in the description of like,
okay,
okay, on this, what's the next step? When do I become a chief of staff? What happens? Okay, I've hit my limit. If you want to keep going, the next step is CEO. You start your own company. Maybe you become a VA. Maybe you start a totally different company. Like, well, I train assistants. Maybe you become like me. But just set those goals, think about your personal life, and just keep going.
Right. Good. And the last question, maybe it comes a little bit weird to you, but I also asked this question to executives. What do you expect from executive assistant? What the skills they must have? They told me that, one told me that the communication is important. One told me that trustworthy is important. One told me that multitasking is important. And I also asked this question to executive assistants. What do you expect from managers? What kind of managers are easy to work with? What we as being executive assistants should wait from managers? Could you please tell me just three, let's say, skills they must have to work with easily?
So you're asking me about 3 skills I would look for in a good manager.
Yes,
executive, right?
to work easily, yeah.
So I would look for someone that is friendly and I actually get along with. I think that's so important. Like, you know, when you're, it's like a relation, it's like a loving relationship, except it's a platonic relationship, but you have to have those sparks. You have to be, if you're going to be that close and you're going to be helping run this person's life, you're managing this person's life, work and personal, usually, then you have to get on like a house on fire. They have to have high trust. They have to be able to let things go. I mean, I work for people that instantly, the day I start, have given me their bank details to their millions, literally have just started. And those are usually those are usually high net worth individuals, like in the like socialite sector, not just like business owners. Like they're beyond that. They've had money for a long time, or their families have had money. They have no problem as long as they typically will hire you because they have already checked you out because somebody has recommended you. Recommendations are so important. I would love a recommendation on managers. It's really important that I find out as much as I can about them. So high trust, friendly and personable, and there's a couple of things that are coming to mind. Let's say very clever. Like I like working and being near clever people that if I'm going to work in a corporate environment and I'm going to work for a CEO or an executive, I want them to be someone that I aspire to be like, that I want that I see how the rest of the people aspire to be like them, and they uphold, and they're worth it. They're worth their action in the end. And I think that's really important. Those are my favorite type of people to work for.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Really, I'm done with my questions. I really appreciate a lot that you take time for us here. And even we have experience in this sector, we are still students. There are lots of things to learn, to go ahead, to look forward to. So I am also learning different things, different skills, and different experience I got to heard so far. So it's also contributing a lot to my career path in this job description. Really, thank you. And after coronavirus, I will be so happy to see you in Turkey. Why not?
I would love that. That would be amazing. I'm planning my world tour now. Like, I'm just like putting pins in a map of all the people I want to see and that I've made, because I've made so many global connections during this time. It's actually been really incredible, and I feel very, very lucky. And I thank you so much for asking me to do this. This was great. You had great questions.
Sure. It's me need to thank, and the first country should be visited will be Turkey. And anytime you can text me by WhatsApp, by email, that you are just coming to Turkey.
Oh yeah, we're on WhatsApp now.
I will be so happy to manage anything. Just let me know that you are coming. I will be so happy to get to know you in person as well.
Oh, you're so sweet. And same to you. If you ever come to London, we'll show you around.
Thank you so much, really. And
no worries.
Have a nice evening.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.